You're rocking with the voice of Townview. We put our spin on trending topics and school news. Thought-provoking, insightful, we speak the truth. We do it for all ages, not just for the youth. Listen close, you might learn something. Or laugh so hard, you split your side or something. Live stream a podcast. Whenever you tune in, it's sure to be a blast. Let's be honest, you don't want to miss that. Content so real, you're going to want to run it back. We keep you entertained while making an impact. Want foreign announcements? Well, this is not that. Sports, pop, culture, political. Whatever you like, we got you covered, bro. It's a movement more than just a show. It's KSBM Radio.
Broadcasting live from Marvin E. Robinson School of Business and Management, Dallas, Texas.
My radio station.
We are KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
Hello, this is KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview. I'm Dior, and I'm joined by
Terrence, Skelly,
Rosie. Today, buckle up for an enlightening journey as we delve into the incredible narrative of Miss Valarie Kendrick, a key figure among the 6 principals leading the way at the Rosie Sorrells School of Education and Social Services under Yvonne A. Ewell Townview Magnet Center. From her lively childhood with 7 siblings to her current role as a continuous learner and principal, Miss Kendrick's experiences bring forth a treasure trove of insights into education. Join us as we embark on a conversation unraveling her journey, leadership philosophy, and vision for ESSM. Welcome, Miss Kendrick. It's fantastic to have you with us.
Thank you.
Is there anything you would like to share before we begin?
No, thank you for inviting me.
Growing up with 7 siblings must have been fun. Is there any memorable moments you have or you could share with us?
Oh, well, I have 5 brothers.
Oh.
And so that was exciting, and 2 sisters. It was just very, very lively. We didn't have a lot, but we didn't realize that we didn't have a lot because we had each other all the time. And so you would think I would be a tomboy, but I'm really not. But even though my brothers tried to force me that way, I'm really a girly girl. But my little sister was the tomboy. But it was just always fun, very loving family, very supportive family.
Okay, so it says here that you're from Richland, Mississippi.
Yes.
How would you say your experience there was, and how did it influence your decisions to become an educator?
Okay, so Ridgeland, Mississippi is like a suburb of Jackson, Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So it's a small town and very, very close knit, actually. And then I attended school in Madison, and so it was that. But I think that knowing what was out there, my parents always taught us to dream big. Always dream big. Think of bigger than where you are and where we are as well. They wanted, of course, more for us than they experienced. And so I think that we were very progressive, always thinking about the next thing. We enjoyed the moment, but we're always moving forward. So that's what I would say about that.
So you pursued a master's educational leadership at DBU, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so how's your education background influenced your approach to teaching and learning?
Oh, wow. Well, by the time I pursued the master's program, I had taught 15 years.
Oh, really?
So I had already kind of had my philosophy. I knew that students needed more, and more is required of the leader. And so if I'm expecting more of my teachers, then I do need to make sure that I'm always learning as well. Right now, I am a doctoral student at Baylor. And so just a continuous learner, because this is a different day. I mean, it's a totally different day. And so all of us, it's incumbent on teachers and leaders to make sure, not that we're just current with the trends, but also that we have enough knowledge that we can take our students deeper and further.
So, remembering your years as a high school English teacher in Rome, Georgia, what key insights did you gain about students in the education system, and what prompted your active involvement in campus-based professional development during this time? All right.
So I taught in Rome, Georgia for 9 years, and then I moved to Dallas and taught 6 years at Bryan Adams. 7 years at Bryan Adams. And so as an English teacher, I just knew that in order for me to take students where they needed to go, I needed to be my best self. I really, I just believe in really effective instruction. You know, my operations, all of my lens is always instruction. You know, I know that I had a good time in high school. I did have a good time in high school, and I want students to have a good time, but I also want to make sure they understand the main thing. The main thing is to be able to communicate, whether we're talking about in writing, whether we're talking about, as we are now, speaking and listening. All of that is important. So what I know about teaching is that, first of all, you do have to have a relationship. It's very important that you have a relationship with students. Students will do more. I mean, because it's a people business. It's not just about, you know, do this assignment, do that. It's a people business, because sometimes we don't know what's going on in a student's life. Not that we're going to lower their expectations, because we're not, but we want to make sure that we can connect, and so that they can, you know, persevere through that, because you're going to have some challenges in life.
Touching back on you saying that you taught at Bryan Adams, is there like any like inspiration or anything that you took out of it there, like to become a principal now?
Well, you know, I still love Bryan Adams. I know it's what it is, but I love all of that rah-rah. And so it's an exciting place. It's just being able, there you're able to connect with kids in different avenues, because there were so many. Of course, you have the sports and you have all the other stuff. And so I would say that. And perhaps sometimes, you know, we didn't focus as much as we need to on the instructional piece. But I think that instruction is doesn't just happen in the classroom, it happens outside of the classroom as well. So when we're talking about teaching and learning, it is not limited to a particular space. It is, every opportunity is a teaching and learning moment.
Okay, so I'd like to touch a little bit more on Bryan Adams. So you've been recognized as senior class sponsor and college board fellow at Bryan Adams.
Yes.
And as you just said, every experience is a learning experience.
Yeah.
So how would you say that specific experience helped you like shape your perspective on educational leadership?
Okay, so with the college board fellow, for example, at that time, there were no African American teachers teaching AP. And so I wanted representation. And so one thing that I did was I applied for the scholarship with College Board. And once you get that scholarship, the school has to give you an AP class. And so I was given an AP class, but it really wasn't about my wanting to teach AP. It really was about representation, because learning is for everybody. It's not just for a certain sect. It's for everybody. And I wanted other students who look like me to see that, yeah, I can be in that class as well, because it was quite skewed. So that was the big thing for me with that. Far as teaching, like I said, well, once I got to Bryan Adams, I had already taught 9 years. So I wasn't a new teacher. I knew pretty much the pedagogy and what to do in the classroom.
So now are there more black teachers teaching AP classes?
At Bryan, I don't know. I don't know. I know they are here. So
Yeah.
Right.
So, serving briefly as the associate principal at Woodrow Wilson before shifting into central office,
Yes.
what lessons did you learn during that time?
Well, I knew that I did not want to be there. And I knew that I didn't want to be in central office either. Because central office, for me, it was like you're sitting around waiting on someone to tell you what to do. And I don't like people telling me what to do. So, but because I have some ideas, I have initiatives, I have goals. I just don't, it just didn't fit my MO.
Yeah.
And you know, and neither did Woodrow. It just wasn't my bent. So you've heard me say how much I enjoyed Bryan Adams, and maybe because it was the diversity, and I do like diversity.
So how did it impact your return as an assistant principal at Barbara Mann's Education
Oh,
Center?
so that was crazy. So after that central office gig stopped, actually we got a new superintendent, and so everybody was they were going to do something different, and you know, central office people were going to be cut and everything. So you had to have a job. So I took the job at Barbara Mann's. Now that is an alternative school, but I took that job because I wanted the experience. I wanted to know, well, why are these students here? What happened? What was their road? Because kids take different paths, and and just because they took a different path doesn't mean it's the end of the world. I saw it as an opportunity to help perhaps get students back on track, and so that was that experience. I had an opportunity to go to another regular high school, but I wanted the challenge, and so now I have been a principal at an elementary school. I've done an alternative school. I've done a regular comprehensive high school, and now I've done a magnet school.
Okay. So touching more on your, involvement at the Barbara Mann's Education Center, which focused on at-risk
Yes.
middle school age students.
Yes.
How did your approach to blended learning impact personalized learning and student engagement?
Okay, so at that time, we actually, before all of this online, we were doing it at the alternative school. We were using what the district now uses Edgenuity, but we used Edgenuity years ago as the learning platform for students. And so it was, and because even though they were middle school students, they were high school age students, And so, and you couldn't just put a kid on even now, you can't just put a kid on a computer and think they're going to be there all day. So it had to be a blended learning experience. And not just with, of course, you had the teacher and then you had the computer as well, but also you had that social emotional piece that, now is common because of the pandemic. But we did that years ago because we knew that those students needed that as well. So just being in tune with what students need, being responsive to their needs, that was the whole child thing, that was what's going on over there. So when people talk about it, we were doing it.
Did that change your viewpoint of how you are now?
I don't think it changed my viewpoint, but I know that it just reminded me. It reminds me all the time, even here at Townview. Students, kids are kids. And they have challenges like everybody else. Some days you come here and everything is cool, and then next thing you know, it's like, man, this is just not a good day. I had a party. My mom's gotten on my nerves. My friends talking about me, they posting stuff. It could be all that kind of stuff. But it's important that we are, as leaders and as teachers, that we are really attuned and in tune with what's going on with our students. That's why it goes back to those relationships. Once a student comes to your classroom, if they're not doing something, and usually they're this particular way, you're like, hey, what's going on? And it's just a quick touch point. They don't have to tell you all of their business, but to be really in. Mr. Zuniga says locked in. Really be locked in on what's going on, because you're making an impact and every interaction matters.
So since you say that building a relationship with students is kind of important for a teacher, what advice would you give to your staff at the at ESSM to build, a good relationship with their students?
And we that is one of our goals this year, has been. And you would think, because we're a small school, that we automatically have those relationships,
Right.
but not necessarily. It's a small school, and yet our students tend to be very quiet. And so we're really having to pull relationships, pull conversations out of them in order to build a relationship. But I'm proud to say that according to our student survey that we just took, our relationship pieces, we have made some gains there. And so I'm glad to hear that. But it is an intentional process. Now, for some students who are talking and they're very, they talk all the time, it's not a problem to have a relationship, make a relationship. But for some students who are very quiet, it does take a concerted effort. And so when our teacher's standing outside the door, they're speaking to each student by name, that matters. I know that everybody gets busy, and that may even sound elementary, because we did do that in the elementary school, but truthfully, students want to be recognized, they want to be seen, and they want to be validated, and all of us do.
Right, right.
So, with the personalized learning pilot grant, focusing on social emotional learning, blended learning, and a little bit of project-based learning, what were the outcomes and key learnings at your school?
Okay, so that was at Bertie Alexander. There was elementary school, so we were one of the schools that got the banner, and we got all the monies to do all of that. Because what we found is that once students had a little bit of all of that, they were more engaged in school, and the attendance got better. And so when the pandemic hit, we had already made some strides with the blended learning piece, with the personalized learning piece, because students were already acclimated to using the computer for their learning. And so the jump wasn't really big for us. So I was excited about that. But I'm telling you, it sounds great. You know, people can use those buzzwords and say blended learning, personalized learning, but the work is doing it. It's actually implementing it, because it takes a lot of planning, it takes a lot of time, and yet every student is worth that.
So how much would you say that blended learning has had an impact not only on the students, but, on teachers?
Oh, I know it impacted the teachers, because they enjoyed it. They were they were smiling, and so they didn't feel like they had to do all of the work. Because now students they were really leading their learning, and it was personalized. I mean, you couldn't just say, go to, everybody turn to page 32, we're going to look at these 5 problems. Well, that's not where I am. So every student had their own menu, so to speak, of where they are, and they were leading their learning. This is in, 3rd and 4th and 5th grade. So, I mean, that's just huge to me, that students could, at that age, understand that they are responsible for their learning. And that's that efficacy that we want to see even with high school students to know. And I can just speak for my students, that we want them to know that I can do this, and I too am responsible for my learning. It's not just the teacher. I am responsible for my learning.
Yeah. So recently you were awarded the Whole School Model Family Engagement. How do you plan to strengthen parent partnerships, and what impact do you foresee on the school community?
Okay, so, and that too was something before I got to Townview. I mean, right when I had all these grants, they moved me to Townview. But anyway, so, but that was a piece, because I wanted parents to understand that we can't do this work without them. We just can't. And, parents who are engaged, even in high school, and I tell them, even in high school, you need to show up.
Right.
You need to make sure what's going on with your student, because you guys have a lot of things coming at you all of the time, and days can change. I mean, on a dime, and so just stay engaged. And so it's about a partnership. I don't want to say that that's saying about the village, but it does take all of us. It takes all of us to make sure that you are getting the best learning experience. And that's what I want. I want a learning experience. I don't want kids to just come to school and go to class. I want them to experience learning in and out of the classroom.
So as a continuous learner, how do you stay updated on the educational trends?
Okay, so I am very much a reader. I am part of various organizations. I subscribe to all kinds of reading. You heard me say that I am a student now, which is, I want to drop out so bad, but nevertheless, I'm going to stay the course. And so, but I read a lot, and so I share a lot of materials with my teachers, and so I know what's going on.
Okay.
Because I'm supposed to know what's going on, because I'm the principal.
Right.
All right.
So how do you bring these trends into your leadership at ESSM?
So I actually share these opportunities with them. I have a teacher now who, this is not me, but at least she knows that I expect teachers to continuously learn. She's attending a training this summer in humanities, and so she just received a scholarship. My thing is, I try to share all of that to inspire them to learn, and not mind necessarily telling them what to do. I want to come from you, from your place, because you know what you need. I can say, okay, I need you to go to this professional development, but maybe that's not what you need. So I just expose them to all kinds of things.
Right.
Every week.
So one of your favorite quotes is "Bloom where you are planted." How does that mindset help you as a person?
All right. So bloom where you are planted. Yeah. that was a magnet on our refrigerator when I was little. But still, my mother told me, that my dad told me, regardless of where you are, do the best that you can do and be the best that you can be where you are. You're not going to be there forever, so just bloom where you planted. Make an impact where you are. Maximize that moment, because even in some of the craziest times, you can still make an impact. And that's what I want to do. I want to make an impact. So when I leave Townview, I want someone to be able to say, okay, well, ESSM is better because, well, now we have this, now we have that. Because I won't be here forever. I'm hoping to set it up for the next person so that it can be even better. So bloom where you planted.
So you're talking about how how you want to make ESSM better for the future. What are some of your other visions for the school, and what are some steps that you're taking now to get to those visions?
Okay, so one thing that we have included this year, this is our first year, we have the dual credit courses in our pathways. So I'm excited about that. We our connection events, we have one every fall and every spring. We our students, having these small huddle meetings, I think was just going back to building relationships, because our students tend to do better in smaller groups. So just for me, just being intentional, being present, being visible, so that they know that I am not just talking from the office, that I'm there in the hallways, I'm in the classrooms quite a bit, looking at them and looking at teachers and looking at teaching and learning. So that's what I'm doing right now.
So there's do you have any other specific plans or initiatives in mind for your school's development and improvement?
I do, but I don't want to share them right now.
Oh.
Why not?
I gotta no, not yet.
Okay.
But I do have a plan. Yes.
So reflecting on your thoughts about the school, what aspects inspire you the most, and how are you cultivating a positive school culture?
All right. So that's about recognizing everybody, teachers and students, validating them, letting them know that, hey, I saw you. I saw you over here. I'm attending certain events. Some of our teachers are involved in things outside of the classroom where I attend those events as well. But just constantly letting them know that I'm not just concerned about them as a student or you as a teacher, but I'm concerned about you as a person.
Upon joining Townview, we're known for having 6 goals. How were you able to guide yourself through that?
Man, that was crazy. When I got here, 6 principals, 6 schools, all of it, we have to work together. Okay, so that's been a challenge for me, because personally, I'm not used to having to share a building or have to share my ideas with somebody else, because I've always been the principal. I do this is my school. I do what I want. But that's not it. But yet it has been good for me. It's been good for me in the sense that I'm having to collaborate more with my colleagues and to hear other ideas, because sometimes you can just hear your idea and that's the only idea you have. But now I have 5 other ideas, and so it was a challenge, but it has been a good challenge. It's been good.
So with that, we know that you were also the principal during COVID. So how did you successfully build connection between students, parents, and staff, and then through COVID? And
it was just really, like everybody else, just connecting through Zoom. I mean, when the teaching was going on during that time, I was still online with everybody else, and that's what I'm saying about, it's one thing to talk something, but walk it too. Be involved in the work, so people know that hey, I feel you. I'm experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing, so I got you. I'm here with you. So I didn't do anything fantastic. I just showed up.
Right. Like they're saying, actions speak louder than
That's
words.
right. That's
So
right.
you showing up, it was greater than you saying,
Yes.
oh yeah, I'm gonna show up. You actually showed up.
So beyond your professional life, with interests like cooking, reading, and creating, How did these passions like impact your job, like being a principal?
Well, you heard me say about reading. You know, I'm a
Yeah.
big reader and share and all of that, and I'm sure at the time that post when I became principal here, a lot of things have changed. Like, you know, now I'm a grandmother. I have 2 granddaughters, and so, you know, I'm like, you know what, work is work, but I got to go see my grandbabies. So, you know, so about, you know, now I'm balanced. I can't just continue to just do this work all of the time. I have to take care of my grandbabies now.
Right.
And so that's that now. You know, it's a different season for me. You know, I'm probably the most seasoned principal here at Townview, and I don't mind saying, hey, I don't look good. But anyway, nevertheless, so but I am in a different space, and so I realize what's crystal and what's rubber. And what I mean by that, there's some things that are very important. My job is important. I'm going to do my job. But, you know, if I'm not here a day or two, you know, it's going to go on. Life goes on, you know. That's rubber. But my family, my health, that's crystal. I got to take care of that.
Yeah, somebody write that down.
Right.
You realize what's crystal in your rubber.
Okay, so moving on to like some fun questions that we have for you. If you could create a school tradition to unite the community, what would it be?
To unite the community. I would think one thing I would like to see is perhaps Townview-wide, having a Townview-wide service project. And it may happen once a month where we just kind of shut down, and that day we're doing things that are about service, so that we can impact this community. I don't know if you know, and I don't have time to go into all the history of how Townview got here, but nevertheless, I think that at the end of the day, you know, Dr. King said, you know, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. And I think because we are a social service school, you know, certainly we focus on that a lot. But service is not limited to just ESSM. Service is now. And wherever career you're going to go into, you're going to have to serve. You should want to. So I would think I would like for that to happen. But if it doesn't happen like that, I still would like for us as Townview to have more opportunities to work together as a campus and have one voice, you know, and do things collaboratively. Really collaboratively.
So can you touch on like some of the services that you would like have in mind for the school?
Well, I talked about that. For example, in the month of February, we're the heart. You know, ESSM is known as the heart of Townview. So we're focusing on the heart, but we're talking about the physical heart. You know, because I don't know if you know about strokes and heart attacks and all of that. And I know the blood drive is going on tomorrow. But we have connected with the American Heart Association, where we're doing different things this month to bring attention to the heart. Even as young people, you know, it's very important that you take care of yourself, because a heart attack can happen to anyone. I won't forget that in my junior year in high school, a basketball player had a massive heart attack on the court. He was in perfect health. I remember a parent walking up the steps at Bryan Adams and had a stroke. And then, you know, my dad had a heart attack. My mother had a stroke. You know, so the heart, we're not talking about just, you know, those emotional pieces, but we're also talking about the physical piece. Make sure that you're taking care of the heart. So I would like for that to be school-wide, but right now I'm just going to focus on ESSM. On Friday, everybody's hopefully we're going to wear red, and we're going to do, you know, just bring attention to your health. And, you know, that's not just and that crosses over into the School of Health. You know, it crosses over into business, as far as, you know, making that known. So even that is something that's a very small thing that could be a collaborative event for our service. There are all kinds of opportunities out there for us to work more collaboratively as Townview, and not be as
Six schools.
Six schools, and just really segregated that way. And have that, you know, because one thing I don't like is the big I's and little U's, and so You heard me say about diversity. I like diversity, and I like people working together. I don't like people. I just don't like the big eyes and little U's. All of us are in this together, and all of us, all the leaders, and certainly all the teachers, we simply want what's best for kids. We want what's best for you guys. We should be able to work together on more to make sure that happens in a very clear way, so that even you guys can see that we don't have to be separated. I know you're about the business. I understand that. And I will hope that you would also understand that, we're about the heart, and we're about people, and we're about service, and that you can meander down to ESSM sometimes and be a part of us, as we are a part of you.
Right.
So touching more on some of the other fun questions, if deserted in an island, what would be 3 books you would want to take?
Well, I'll have to have the Bible.
Of course.
Let's see. I will have Cicely Tyson's biography. I would have that book. And then I would have to have something funny. There's a book I read a couple of years ago called Deacon King Kong. But it was crazy. But I would have to have something light, and something, reflective, and, of course, something to lead my way, and that's the Bible.
Right. So can I ask about what Deacon King Kong is about?
Oh, my goodness. I can tell you. Well, here's the key. I can tell you some of it. Okay, so it's about this community. It's really about this community, and they're African-American, Cuban. It's really those two groups. And they intersect. And there was this money that was lost, and so the way that they had to find it and how they had to communicate and collaborate, and people falling in love with each other, families coming together. It was just so many plot twists on it, but it was so funny. But it's a beautiful story about community.
So touching more on the Bible, what would you say is your favorite verse that you live by?
Isaiah 40:31. Okay, so just stay in the course. Well, now I think about the other one. But Joshua, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. That's one for me. That I'm going to say that one because I can't remember my. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to stay with that one. So, because really, in this world, you can't make people do anything.
Right.
You make your own choices. This is what you're going to do. That's what you're going to do. But for me, this is what I'm going to do. To thine own self be true is what my mother always told me. To thine own self be true. Because at the end of the day, you're going to look at the mirror. Are you going to be okay with that reflection? Are you just following the crowd, or are you making your own way based on what you know is true for you, what is true for you, and stand in that truth? Yeah.
So, if you had a time machine and you decided to tell yourself, your teenage self, one piece of advice, what would it be and why?
Is keep learning. Keep learning. Keep learning. At this age, in this doctoral program, I'm like, I should not be in this program at this age. And it's hard. It's hard. It's hard work.
Age doesn't have a limit, though.
That's right. And that's why I'm there. Okay, so anyway, but the thing is, it's just continue to learn. Regardless of, things are going on. You know how you see, some people of a certain age, they get to the point and they just kind of ride. They don't stay current with what's going on. Those are young people doing that. That's what you need to stay abreast of what these young people are doing, so that you can stay vibrant, and not that you're going to do what they're doing, but just so that you can be aware. Now, some of the things that you guys are doing, we're not going to do that. I'm not doing that. However, at least we are aware of what's going on, so that you can still be a vital part of your family or your community, because as long as you're still living, you still can make an impact.
Right.
And that's it. So continue to learn. I would tell my younger self that, don't stop learning.
It's good.
Well, this concludes our engaging conversation with Ms. Valarie Kendrick, principal at the Rosie Sorrells School of Education and Social Services. We've delved into her extensive background, gained valuable leadership insights, and explored the exciting initiatives she's spearheading. To all our listeners, thank you for your continued support since our first show of the school year. Your support is truly appreciated, and we look forward to bringing you more captivating interviews. Keep shining brightly and stay connected with us with our social medias down below. Until our next broadcast, this is KSBM Radio, signing off with gratitude and excitement. Stay awesome.
Thank you for listening to KSBM Radio, the voice of Townview.
My radio station.
We are all from a student's perspective. Make sure to follow us on Twitter for the latest updates at KSBM_TVT or on Facebook at KSBM Radio.
Add 'em on Facebook.
Check them on Facebook.
Take care.